Hey friends, thanks for stopping by my YouTube channel. I really appreciate you being here. The topic for today is, should you take a cheat day when you are dieting down and working on fat loss? So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn on your notifications, feel free to drop a like, and definitely share this video with anyone that you think may find it helpful. So let's dive right in. First, let's preface this by saying there isn't a one size fits all. I know you hear it over and over again with fitness and nutrition, but it's true. It's really individual. And so when we're looking at, do you need a cheat day when you're dieting? This is something that, again, is really based on a number of factors that pertain to you. And you need to look at this with your coach, or if you're doing this on your own, have a really honest conversation with yourself. So first and foremost, the language. For some people, the word cheat isn't a great idea. And for other people, it simply doesn't matter. However you want to classify it is based on your history and relationship with food and sort of how you feel about the process in general. I call it a high day. For me, a lot of it comes down to performance and what my goals are. So I'm often, putting in extra calories around specific workouts. So again, highly individual. The next thing to look at. So when we're talking about fat loss, we are looking at creating a deficit. So we're looking at basically shifting the energy balance. We need to expend more energy than we take in. We can do this two different ways. We can reduce our calories and we can increase our output, either through like non-exercise activities such as like walking and just being busy and hiking and cleaning your house, doing stuff that isn't really like in the gym, so to speak. And then of course we can train in the gym. Probably the most sort of accurate way to create your deficit, if you will, the way that you can like ultimately manage the best is through your intake. We can look at what we're eating, we can track it, we can assess this is what we need to, where we need to be, like our energy requirement is based on all of the factors that we know, so like our biological factors, and sort of figure out this is what we would take in to sustain our current body weight, make no changes at all. And then we can calculate, we can subtract energy from that, so it's minus calories essentially, and decide, okay, this will create a deficit for me. And then of course you can pepper in some output there, right? But the easiest way to manage fat loss, easy if that's the right word, but definitely the most accurate way is to manage your intake. We can't really like ascertain what your output is exactly. And to be fair, we probably can't do that with your intake, but we can do it a little bit more accurately. When we start trying to create a deficit through output alone, again, there are so many variables. We really don't know, is that accuracy, is that Fitbit telling us, oh, you burned 600 calories, but did you really? So we don't know. So we can look at with output, certainly just making sure that we're hitting a certain amount of like steps each day, looking at maybe adding in a little bit of extra, cardio here and there. Baseline, making sure we're getting some strength training in for sure, but we don't really use output to manage deficits. It's better done through nutrition. So cheat days and high days. So when we're looking at creating those deficits, some people are going to operate on, we're all on a spectrum somewhere. So some people, to achieve fat loss, need to operate at like a higher deficit. So they need to really look at like a more restricted state. It could be that their body just responds best there. It could be that they're trying to do it quicker. They're on a timeline. Whatever reason might be, that's where they are. It's calculated. They know what that deficit is. And then you might have someone that's operating on like a smaller deficit, slow and steady, just making some changes over time. Again, it's a spectrum. So realistically, if we're talking about putting in a high day, my suggestion to client is always don't make it a cheat day or a high day, make it a meal. So like a calculated effort. That's one way to do it. So you can actually look at your week and say, well, I know that I've created a deficit that takes away, 3,000 calories. So on this meal, I'm gonna add in an extra 600 calories or 700 calories. And really, realistically, it shouldn't impact the deficit that I've created, you know, for the overall week too much, and I should still be moving towards my goals. Although, you know, it may be a little bit slower that week, but I can account for it. I know that, okay, this might make my process a tiny bit slower, but I'll still be chugging along a little bit. You can certainly look at like having like a totally untracked, you know, free for all, but I think that sometimes that's where people can get a little bit frustrated, is if they're on point all week and then they take that high day, and that high day just basically replaces all of the calories that they had cut out to try to create that deficit. So my suggestion is, again, high meal, calculate it into the deficit. Now, some people don't need this at all. Some people are just like, no, I'm on a mission. And I think that's the second piece that you have to look at is, you know, mentally and emotionally and physically, can you adhere to this plan that you're on if you don't have some sort of reprieve, if there isn't a little bit of an extra that is calculated here and there to just kind of help you relax a little bit? Maybe it's like an enjoyable meal with your spouse or your family. Maybe you really enjoy this certain thing. Maybe you want to have a glass of wine, something like that. And if you're okay with the process just being a little bit slower perhaps, then yeah, that and it helps you stick to it, then you should take the high meal. Take that time to just like relax, unplug, and enjoy yourself. Again, some people don't need it, and if you don't, that's great. So again, not a one size fits all. Main takeaways being, don't guess at it. That's where you can get really frustrated. Again, I've made a YouTube video about half-assing it. That would be the definition of half-assing it, not paying attention and just being like, oh, well, I'm making great progress, this should work. So make sure that you're tracking it, you're paying attention, you're doing it mindfully and intentionally, or you're not doing it at all. And if you are someone that needs it, then that's okay too. I hope you guys found that this video was helpful. Feel free to leave any comments if you have any questions. And again, feel free to share this video with anyone that you think may find it helpful. Thanks, guys.